Okay, now we're going to get into a combination, a mixture of all the different rules. So go back to the front page if you need some help. And I'm just going to recap. Capital T is for translation. Capital R is for rotation. Oops, and I didn't finish spelling that. Let me fix that. Calligraphy line. And then lowercase r is for reflection. Capital D is for dilation. So now there are some typos on here, and I want to talk about that. So our first one we have is for rotation. So when we get to number right here, number 22, they did a lowercase r. That should be a capital R. 23 should also be a capital R, and 24 should be a capital R. And then when we get to 20, this is reflection. This should be, oops, I'm using the wrong color. Oh no, this should be a lowercase r, okay? And this should be a lowercase r. So really this is basically saying r and then a subscript y-axis, okay? And that would be for 20, 21. And the x-axis for 20. So, all right, so the first one we have is a translation, capital T, negative 2, comma 3. So the rule for that is x minus 2, comma y plus 3. Okay, hopefully you recognize how to put it into that rule. Now we're just going to apply that rule to the points. Since we have the points 4, comma negative 6, and I'm just going to do our work down here. So this is number 19. X's are 4. So we have 4 minus 2, comma, and then y is our 6. So we do negative 6 plus 3. And then we simplify that, and we get 2, comma, negative 3. Okay? So here, our translation of negative 2, 3, or moving to the left 2, and then up 3 would be give you to the point 2, 3. Okay. Now we're going to reflect over the x-axis. And the front of the page tells us what to do when we reflect over the x-axis. And if you said keep x, change y, you're absolutely right. So it's x comma negative y. And we're going to do that to our points x and y. So x stays the same, so the 9 stays. Negative y means we do the opposite sign. So if it's negative already, it now becomes positive. Exactly. Okay? So change the sign to the opposite. If it's negative, it becomes positive. All right, now we're going to do the reflection over the y-axis. Well, the y stays and the x changes. So it's negative x comma y. So if the x is already negative, then we change it to positive. But our x is positive. So now it becomes a negative, and the y stays the same. It stays a negative 5. So those are our reflections. Now we're going to do our rotations. Our rotations, about a rule of 90 degrees, that rule is negative y comma x. So we're going to apply that rule for our x and y. It means we got to switch the order. If I switch the order, that becomes a negative 6 comma 4. And we're going to change the sign of y. So if it's negative 6, it now becomes a positive 6. So now I just make that a positive 6 comma y. Our rule for a rotation of 180 is negative x comma negative y, which means we're going to change the sign to the opposite for both x and y. So whatever the sign is, we're going to make it the opposite for both x and y. So this would be negative 4, and that negative now becomes positive 6. Good job. Now for 270, we have the rule y comma negative x. Okay, so we're switching, but we're going to change the sign to the x. So this will end up becoming, our y stays the same, a negative 6 comma negative 4. Good job. Now capital D is for dilations. So D3 means we're doing a dilation with the scale factor of 3. So that means this would be 3x, 3 times x, 3 times y. So we're doing 3 times both the x and the y. Our x is a negative 2, our y is 3. We'll multiply by 3 by both of them. So we get negative 6, comma 9. And then here, our dilation is 1/2. So we're taking half of x and half of y. So we're doing half of a negative 4. That gives me negative 2. Half of 8 would give me 4. Okay, so that takes care of our dilations, or our mixed transformations. Now here, it says find the coordinates of the reflection image over the x-axis and then reflect over the y-axis. I can't read. I'm sorry. And label the new point. So let's just start off. Let's just get the points that they have given us. So our D here is basically 1 comma negative 4. Our E is 4 comma negative 1, and our F is negative 1 comma 1. Okay. So if I reflect over the x, what's that rule again? X comma negative y. Okay, so I'm going to do that to basically all the y coordinates are going to change. So our D becomes 1 comma 4. Our E becomes 4 comma 1. And our F becomes negative 1 comma negative 1. Now we're going to take those points and reflect over the y-axis. So find the coordinates of the reflection image over the x-axis and the y-axis. Okay, I don't think they want us to reflect the image, so we're just going to follow the rule, which is negative x comma y, to the original points. Okay, we're just going to keep it to the original. So our D prime, excuse me, is going to be, oops, I already have a parentheses there. Negative 1 comma 4. And we have negative 4 comma negative 1. And then we have positive 1 and 1. Okay? So that is just reflecting using the reflection rule. Now they want us to rotate, and they gave us the order pair for each point around the origin for the degree. So let's just recap. If it's a rotation of 90, remember they're going to use a capital R. Okay, it's not going to be lowercase. This should be negative y comma x. Switch, then change change the y, excuse me, to the opposite side. Rotation 180. Exactly, if you said negative x comma negative y. So you're going to just change the sign to both x and y. Rotation of 270. Switch, yep, and change the x. So this would be y comma negative x. We're just going to apply the rule to our x and y coordinates for each point. So our D prime here for 90 is going to be positive 2 comma 1. Because we changed the sign to the opposite. It was already negative, so it becomes opposite. We're going to change the sign to both here for 180. Negative 1, and that negative 2 is already negative, so that becomes a positive. Make it to the opposite. And then 270, we have negative 2 comma negative 1. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing for the E. And you know what? Let me fix this. Make this a little bit more user-friendly. This was negative x comma negative y. And our last one was y comma negative x. All right, so there, negative 1, positive 2. And then this one was negative 2 comma negative 1. All right, so let's do all the rotation of 90. Switch and change the y. Flip the order, flip, change the y. So this becomes 4 comma 1. Flip and change the y. So this becomes 3 comma 4. For 180, we're changing the sign to both x and y. So here we have negative 1, positive 4. And for f prime, we have negative 4, positive 3. Because it was already negative, so we changed the sign to the opposite, which makes it positive. And then our last one, we're going to switch them and change the x coordinate. Switch and change the x. So this would be negative 4. The x is negative. No, it's positive 1, so now it becomes a negative 1. Sorry about that. And then we have negative 3, comma, negative 4. All right, good job if you got those. Go ahead and graph them so you can see how that triangle is rotating around the origin. I think it turns out to look kind of like a fan. All right, so and then our last section here is we're going to translate the figure. The key word here is translate. This is when we're adding to x and adding to y. Okay, adding or subtracting. Okay, so our rule here is capital T negative 2, 3. So that means this would become x minus 2, y plus 3. And they want us to do this rule to each point. Okay, so here's our x. Our x is 3. We're going to subtract 2 from it. Our y is 2. We're going to add 3 to it. So we should have 1 comma 5. All right, let's try that for the next one. Did you do it? Pause if you need to, and then come back and check your answer. We should have negative 1, comma 0. And then we're going to subtract 2. This one, negative 4, comma 1. Okay? All right, and then our last one, and this is very much test-like, doing a translation. Is it our last one? Or second to our last, sorry. We have a composite transformation. Okay? Key word here is composite. Okay? Name the coordinate of the final image. This is the double prime. Whenever you have a composition of a pre-image and we're going to do the final image, two things. You have a symbol, this little open circle, is a symbol for a composite or composition, which means in this symbol you read the transformation right to left. That's the order you perform it. So if I look right here, I'm going right to left. That means I start with the R90 first. Okay? A rotation of 90 degrees has a rule, negative y comma x. So we're going to do that first to each point. Now I'm just going to label these A prime, B prime, and C prime. We're doing the rotation first. Well, we're going to switch and change the y. So this A prime becomes 1, comma 1. Switch and change the y. This becomes 1, comma 4. Switch the order, change the y. This becomes negative 2, comma 2. So that's the one we do first. We're reading it from right to left. So the next one that comes is the reflection of x equals 1. Okay? Lowercase reflection x equals 1. Now, this is a line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph my prime points. So here's 1, 1. That's my A prime. 1, 4. That's my B prime. And negative 2, positive 2. That's my C prime. Connect them in order. A, B, C. That's the triangle we're making. And now we got to graph this line x equals 1. So I go to x, the x-axis, go where the 1 is, and we're going to graph that line. This is a vertical line. Okay? And now if I look at this, B and A are on the line of reflection. They're on that green line. So I can't move them. Okay? You know, reflection is equal distance. And so the only point that I can reflect at this point is the C. The C is 1, 2, 3 units to the left of the line of reflection. So I'm going to go 3 units to the right, and here is my C prime. And that's actually going to be my double prime because that's my reflection. So I'm going to connect A to B, these two stay, B to C, C to A, and I'm going to now record my points. Now since A is on the line of reflection, it's not moving, it's staying 1, comma 1. Since B is on the line of reflection, it's staying as 1, comma 4, the image. Well, C is the only point that got reflected, and so I need its new order pair over that green line. So this was, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Okay, so whenever you do a composite transformation in that open circle, you have to start from the right, start at the end, and then go to the left. Yes, I guess go to the right. So start here. This is where we start. Our A prime, we're going to do a translation. This is a capital T. And we're going to do minus 1. So 1 minus 1 is going to be 0. And then we have a negative 1 minus 3. That gives me a negative 4. And then we're going to do B prime. We're going to subtract 1 from the x coordinate. So 4 minus 1 is 3. And then negative 1 minus 3 is a negative 4. And then we're going to do C prime, doing our translation. 2 minus 1 is going to give me 1, and 2 minus 3 is going to give me a negative 1. So that takes care of the translation. What comes after the translation? Exactly, the reflection. Y equals x. Well, the reflection y equals x has the rule y comma x. So for all these points, we are going to basically switch the order. Negative 4, comma 0. B double prime, negative 4 comma 3. C double prime, negative 1 comma 1. And there is our transformation. So that would be basically what goes down here in the blanks. So take care of that. Let me pause this real quick. I'm going to show you, and I'll probably do this twice, how to get to some flashcards or some interactive practice. So just hold on just a second. Okay, so that wraps up the review. So what I wanted to show, if you want to do some practice, especially kind of help you study for your rules, when you go to Edmodo and you go to folders, the link for the video that I'm making here, it's going to be in the test review folder here. But there's a folder here that says extra practice and review. So if you click there, if you look, this is free flashcards about transformations. Okay, so if you click on that, it'll give you a card. Should be showing thinking. It's still thinking. Okay, so here it is. Reflection over the y-axis. So they want you to give the rule to this. So you click here and flip it to check to see if you got it. Now, if you didn't say it, say I know it, I don't know it. Let's say you put it, I don't know it. So it goes in that stack. Reflection over the x-axis. Flip it. Okay, you say I got it. Rotation 90 counterclockwise. Kind of see if you get the answer. Say, nope, I didn't get it. Okay, rotation 180 counterclockwise. Flip it, see if you get the answer. Got it. And so as you go through, then you can redo the ones that you don't know. And you can just maybe start it all over again. Autoplay. I think sometimes it might let you do different games with this, but just kind of use this to help you study, okay? And make sure you can do your review, complete the review, and got some bonus points. All right, happy studying. Thanks for getting this done.